Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through compelling sources to bring you the key insights. Today, we're diving into, well, a really concentrated bit of scripture, Mark chapter 1, verses 29 through 39.
Yeah, it's just 10 verses. Seems straightforward. Maybe 3 miracles back to back.
Right, but the study we're unpacking argues it's much more, it's like a strategic blueprint almost.
Exactly, for transformation.
Yeah.
Both, personal and for the community. It's not just reporting what Jesus did. It's laying out what we need to do.
Okay, so that's our mission today. To pull out 3 specific things this study highlights. First, this idea of responsive ministry, what you do after you get help.
Yeah, the immediate action. Then second, the prophetic side of healing, how it shows up, and how it's actually broader than just fixing the body.
And the third piece is Christ's own model, his strategy for moving forward, avoiding getting stuck, really practical stuff.
So the big question driving this is, how does this ancient passage give us like a clear guide for keeping momentum after a big positive change?
That really tees it up. Let's get into that blueprint, starting right there in Peter's house. Okay, section 1, the requirement of responsive ministry. It kicks off with Simon Peter's mother-in-law. She's sick with a fever.
Right. And the first thing that jumps out, even before the healing happens, is what the disciples do. They tell Jesus straight away.
And the study draws a direct lesson from that, doesn't it?
It really does. It emphasizes that foundational step. There's a problem, personal or whatever, and the community brought it right to the Lord. The practical takeaway is, you got to tell the Lord and tell your leaders too.
Don't just sit on it, assuming it'll get sorted.
Exactly. Communication kicks off the response. You have to initiate.
Now, the healing itself, the different gospels add these fascinating layers. The study contrasts them, right? Mark just says, he took her hand, lifted her up. Simple.
Pretty simple, but Matthew adds that he touched her hand, like emphasizing the transfer of power, almost like flipping a switch.
Okay.
But then Luke, being the physician, he gives us even more. Calls it a great fever, so serious stuff. And then Luke says Jesus rebuked the fever. That word rebuked is where the study really digs in.
Okay, let's pause there. Rebuking a fever. That sounds intense. How does the study explain that? Does it make it seem like, fevers have personalities?
Well, yeah, that's kind of the point it makes. It's significant. You don't typically rebuke, say, a table or a chair, right?
No.
You rebuke something with will, an opposing force. So the argument is, Jesus wasn't just treating a symptom, he was addressing something deeper, a spiritual dimension behind the physical illness.
So it suggests that for any persistent problem, maybe physical, maybe mental, there might be an underlying force you can exert authority over, command it to leave.
That's the implication. It takes the solution beyond just managing the problem to actually, getting rid of it entirely. Eradication.
That's a powerful distinction. Touch transmitting power versus rebuke addressing the root. But the absolute key for this section for the listener has to be what she did next.
Oh, absolutely. That's the linchpin. The moment she's healed, Mark says, she ministered unto them.
Instantly. No recovery time needed.
Right. And that immediate action, that's presented as the necessary step. It solidifies the change. It's not just feeling better, it's active, immediate appreciation.
And this ministering back, the study defines it pretty practically, doesn't it?
It does, as a reciprocation. Using your substance, as it says. It's not just saying thanks, it's putting resources, energy, whatever you have, back into the source of the blessing.
The study mentions those women in Luke 8 using their actual wealth to support Jesus' ministry. Why emphasize that material aspect or just the act of giving back in general?
Because, according to the source, real transformation creates this sort of obligation, a good obligation, to actively support the source. It's gratitude in action. Passivity doesn't cut it. You pour back in. It confirms the healing through, tangible sacrifice.
And the study even broadens this idea of ministering. It's not just humans helping humans, is it?
No, that's a comforting point it makes. Like in Gethsemane, when the disciples couldn't stay awake, who showed up? Angels.
Yeah.
Ministering to Christ, providing strength.
Yeah. So support comes, whether human or angelic.
Right. The principle holds. Active appreciation, this ministering back, is the vital step that completes the circuit after a breakthrough. It's non-negotiable.
Okay, so we've got the personal response locked down. But then the scene shifts, right? From Peter's house to the whole town gathering, the scope just explodes.
It really does. Which leads perfectly into section 2, the scope and fulfillment of healing.
That evening scene is amazing. All the city was gathered together at the door. Everyone sick, everyone possessed, brought to Jesus.
Word must have spread incredibly fast. And he healed many. But there's that interesting detail the study picks up on. He suffered not the devils to speak because they knew him.
Why is that significant, according to the source?
The implication is he wanted to focus on the healing itself, on the message, not on the, noisy validation from demonic forces. Keep the signal clear. Cut the noise.
Right. And this massive display of healing power, it wasn't random. It connects directly back to Old Testament prophecy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The study makes that link explicit, straight to Isaiah 53. Matthew quotes it. Himself took our infirmities and bare our sicknesses. This wasn't just helping people, it was fulfilling the ancient script.
And 1 Peter echoes that. By whose stripes you were healed. The power seen that evening was the promised power made real. But here's where the study gets really practical, I think, for us today. It talks about the plurality of healing. We tend to think healing equals physical recovery.
Yes. And that's the big mind shift the source pushes for. The power demonstrated that night wasn't just for fevers or injuries. It argues, based on Luke and Psalms, there are other critical areas needing healing.
Okay, what are they?
First, healing for the heart, and not the physical part.
Emotional, psychological.
Exactly. The study says it's about healing the brokenhearted, those filled with sorrow, overwhelmed with anxiety, fears, and tears. Think deep emotional distress, trauma.
So mental health, essentially. Got it. What's second?
Second, healing for the soul. This draws on Psalm 41. Heal my soul, for I've sinned against thee. This is about the weight of guilt, condemnation, moral failure, hopelessness. Healing the conscience.
Okay, heart is emotion, soul is moral existential. What's the third one? Healing for backsliding. That term might need a little unpacking.
It does. The source describes backsliding as like habitually straying, repeatedly falling back into negative patterns after you've had a breakthrough or decided to change. It's framed almost like a deadly disease.
So it's about breaking those cycles of regression, constantly slipping back into old habits or destructive ways, even when you know better.
Precisely. That tendency we all have, maybe. So the power addresses the body, yes, but also our emotional state, heart, our sense of guilt or purpose, soul, and this tendency to regress, backsliding.
Wow, that's incredibly comprehensive, much bigger than just the flu.
Totally. It means the healing available covers the whole spectrum of human brokenness.
But let me push back slightly here, just playing devil's advocate based on the text. Mark says Jesus healed many, not all, who came. Does the study address why it wasn't everyone? Does that limit the idea of this comprehensive power?
That's a fair question. The study doesn't frame it as a lack of power. Exactly. Okay. It's more about strategic focus. The healing was the sign, the confirmation of the word he was preaching.
Oh, okay.
Healing many was enough confirmation for that community. It established his authority. Then, strategically, he needed to move on to preach elsewhere. He couldn't get stuck just being the local healer, essentially.
That makes sense. It wasn't about capacity. It was about purpose and direction.
Right. Which flows perfectly into Section 3, the Master's practical model for ministry and growth. Because after you get that breakthrough, that comprehensive healing, how do you keep moving? What's the strategy?
And Mark 1, verses 35 to 39 lays that out pretty clearly. The disciples find Jesus after he's been praying, and they basically say,
everyone's looking for you. This is amazing. Let's stay here, build on this success. Things are booming.
It's the classic temptation, isn't it? You find something that works, a real win, and the instinct is to just stay there, protect it.
Double down on what's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus immediately counters that, refuses to stagnate. His response is non-negotiable. Let us go into the next towns, that I may preach there also. For therefore came I forth.
He knew his mission wasn't just that one town.
Exactly. And the study pulls out that key quote. You have to move on higher and further. Don't get stagnant nor stay in one place. That applies everywhere in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Success here can't stop progress there.
So what fueled that ability to keep moving forward, to resist the pull of immediate success?
Well, the absolute foundation, according to the text in the study, is prayer. Before they even found him, what was he doing?
He got up super early, a great while before day, went off alone.
Right. To a solitary place. The study really highlights that solitude. He needed to be undisturbed, not praying for show, but for actual clarity, for power.
It's that deliberate withdrawal, isn't it? If he needed that dedicated quiet time to reset and focus, what does that say about us trying to make big decisions in the middle of chaos?
It says we probably need it even more. Strategic choices need power drawn from outside the immediate noise. The model is clear. Prayer first, then big decisions.
The study mentions him praying all night before choosing the 12 disciples.
Exactly. That massive decision that shaped everything. It came after intense, focused prayer. Don't base permanent choices on fleeting excitement. Ground them in that communication.
And it wasn't just about big decisions either. The study talks about persistence in prayer too, right? Like the parable of the persistent widow.
Yes, that always pray and not to faint idea. The point being that intentional focus in prayer kind of lifts the burden of worry. It lets you move forward strategically because you trust the outcome is being handled.
Okay, so focused prayer fuels the forward movement. And where is that movement ultimately heading?
That leads to the final piece, the practical mandate, which the study calls progressive harvesting. The goal wasn't just local healings or being popular in Capernaum.
No, he said why he came forth.
To preach the kingdom to all nations. Because, as Peter later wrote, God's not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. It's a global mission.
So the cycle just keeps going. You experience transformation, you respond with appreciation and ministry.
Which then fuels the need for recalibration through prayer.
Which empowers you for strategic movement into the next opportunity, the next town, the next challenge. Progressive harvesting.
And the promise attached is that as you go, the Lord works with you, confirming the word with signs following. The power follows the message.
It really is a complete loop, isn't it? From one woman's fever to a global strategy.
It's all there in just those 10 verses. Pretty amazing.
So let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways for you, the listener? We dove into Mark 1.2939, and this study pulled out some powerful points.
First, that need for an appreciative response. Ministry, giving back, using your substance. It anchors the change.
Second, the sheer breadth of healing. Not just the body, but the heart anxiety, sorrow, the soul guilt, hopelessness, and even backsliding, that tendency to slip back into old ways.
Yeah, that comprehensive view is key. And third, the practical strategy for growth. Don't get stuck. Prioritize solitude and prayer for clarity and power, and always be ready to move on higher and further.
No stagnation allowed. Okay, so we leave you with this final thought, sparked by the study's focus on prayer in Philippians 4.
Right, the idea of replacing worry with intentional thought, focusing on what's true, whatsoever things are honest, and so on.
So here's the question. If persistent prayer gets God's attention for resolving challenges, how does actively choosing what you think about that mental discipline of focusing on the true and positive actually empower you? How does it help you receive peace and move forward strategically, knowing you've already put the problem in his hands?
That conscious choice. It feels like the bridge, doesn't it? Between just waiting for an answer and actively partnering in the progress.
Something powerful to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll catch you on the next one.